Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to a Saturday edition of the Bama Standard. No, you're not seeing things. We are the hottest YouTube channel for Bama content out there. And you got to hear from us after the first scrimmage. We have a lot of things going on. Before we get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You get rowdy in that chat. Let us know what you think. For those of you who have seen the press conference, I know y'all already. If you're watching the replay, get in the comment section below. Tell us what you think. As always, we're brought to you by Workspace Solutions. If your business needs a digital presence or a full-fledged marketing team, these guys are the ones to reach out to at a great price. I'm your host, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is the star of the show, comedy legend, undefeated, undisputed, Steve Brown, and then senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, Stephen M. Smith. Fellas, welcome in.
Hey man, first off, man, before we get started, let me say this. I want to send some big props out to somebody, man. I know this is unscripted, but I gotta say it. I want to send a shout out to Stephen Smith. This dude, I've been watching you for the last couple of days, man. You've been going hard to get this Bama news out, man. I just want to say, man, even though I'm the star of the show, I'm a big fan of yours, but don't tell nobody that, I kind of, I'm a big fan of yours. And another thing I want to give you props on, man, is it's right now, if y'all hear that it's thundering and lightning here in Georgia. You know why? Because they just heard the Tide practicing. That's what that is. So they're kind of scared. But anyway, let me say this, man. I saw something that really moved me. Today, I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw Stephen and his family having Bible study. And that was one thing that moved me. But what really moved me was his dad was sitting right across from him, facing the camera with a big blue, orange, and white Auburn t-shirt on. And Stephen just sat there like it was all good, holding restraint. He didn't jump on his dad. And Stephen, I appreciate you for that, man. You're a hero, man. I appreciate that.
I will say this. He's one of the very few Auburn fans that's actually realistic. He's one of the very few Auburn fans that's cool. He's not going to get crazy about the team. To some degree, the story of him becoming an Auburn fan is actually quite weird. He jumped on Auburn when Cam Newton got there, and I kind of gave him a "what did you do that for" look. And he's like, you gotta go with the eye on this, man. They got Cam Newton over there. And so I looked at my mom like, we still feeding him? My mom,
wow.
Right.
But you know something, man? You know something? Speaking of Cam Newton, I don't care if we had a Cam Newton, a Johnny Manziel, a Bryce Young. One thing about it, we have to catch the freaking ball. Let's go into that, guys. We got to catch it.
Great segue, Steve. I appreciate that. We could go in a number of directions, but that is the hottest topic right now. Coach Saban is fuming. If y'all didn't see the press conference, go back and watch it. He's not happy. One of the biggest things he talked about was the level of consistency, or should I say inconsistency, at wide receiver. Last year, one of the biggest things we noticed about the wide receiver group was drops. That's not the Bama standard. We're not used to that. We don't appreciate that. We're not going to sit well on it. So 2023, we expect that to be gone, right? Don't feel like it's gone. Coach Saban, the first thing he said is, why are you called a wide receiver? You're supposed to be catching the ball. What happened? Stephen M. Smith, lead us off with this, brother. What's going on in practice? Last week you told us that Kendrick Law was doing his thing. Isaiah Bond and Malik Benson doing their thing. Is that pretty much the only ones? And then we got Amari Niblack occasionally splitting out wide. What's up?
I mean, right now and I understand that this is definitely one of the hottest summers recorded, but at the same time, you still have to be able to catch the football, and that's what Nick Saban wants. He wants these guys stacking consistent performances on top of each other, because that's the competition. You got to stack consistent things on top of each other. The good news was, the quarterbacks, all of these guys were putting the ball out there. They were putting good passes out there. It was just the guys not holding that ball in, and you got to hold that ball in regardless of who you are at that position. Now, Saban also said, there was some good catches made. He didn't dive into who the good catches came from, but there were some good catches made. But the big thing is it's consistency all the way around. The wide receivers, the defensive front players not having those jumping off sides things, and just building more guys in the roster that can play that dominant style of football. I mean, Saban mentioned, hey, we may got 5 or 6 guys at this position that can play it, but we need more. We need more guys because you got to brace yourself for, God forbid, but if somebody gets hurt, we need that next guy ready to be inserted in and make those kinds of plays that this program needs. So I think even more so than just receivers still having the issue with drops, Saban wants more guys, more bodies that can play this winning football at the high level, whether it's young guys, whether it's guys that have been there for a while and trying to get that experience or more experience, but he wants more guys involved.
So you know what? One thing I didn't hear, he didn't touch on the quarterbacks too much. So that means to me that the quarterback room is growing and they're moving along, and I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, quarterback room growing, moving along. I'm looking to dive into some of the guys that were there to gather some more information, preferably on those quarterbacks. But the one good thing I did hear in that defensive secondary, guys are moving around. Guys are playing multiple positions on the back end. And Saban brought up Tony Mitchell. They're working Tony Mitchell playing multiple spots. So it looks like the young man has put the whole issue that happened back in March behind him. He's locked in. He's focused. He's grinding. He's playing multiple spots. And you got Terrion Arnold playing corner and star. You got Malachi Moore playing star and safety. You've got Devontae Smith out there playing free safety. He's moving around a bit. So you got a combination of guys that are not just playing one position. So Saban trying to get all the ball hawking DBs on the field at one time. It's just what's the best combination of 5 to 6.
Hey, well, Stephen, I want to interject this too, man. There is no excuse for dropping balls. No excuse. If the ball, the old rule, if it touches your hand, you're supposed to catch it. However, I'm beginning to think, this is just me, I'm beginning to think that maybe our defense is just that good. And we got some ball hawks who are really blanketing our receivers. And I think because it seems like the defense is already playing super fast already. And I think they are light years ahead of the offense.
I see that. And not just that, Steve, you got to look at whether they're blanketing these receivers, or are the DBs and linebackers just hitting these receivers to where they can't hold on to the ball.
Right.
That's the question you have to ask is Deontay Lawson, Jahad Campbell, are these guys over the middle really hitting these receivers hard to where by the time the ball hits their hands that they're dropping the ball because they're getting hit just that hard? I mean,
wow.
The first day in full pads, I believe, was Thursday or Friday. And Terrion Arnold talked about, hey, the defense, we love being out there in full pads. We love being out there. So Terrion was talking that. Chris Braswell was like, the offense, they competitive, but when you put this defense in pads, we like being in pads out here. And then you have Terrion Arnold, who also said Kevin Steele's voice is crazy. Like, he gets us in the mood to play ball.
Right.
Look at hearing this stuff from Terrion Arnold and Chris Braswell, you almost have to ask yourself, hey, is this defense putting the lumber on these guys and preventing them from catching the ball?
You know what? I think that from all I could say, from all I've been hearing and reading online, I think Terrion Arnold has locked down that second second corner.
I feel, and a lot of people don't realize, Steve, last year, and I go back to this, was his first year ever truly playing corner. He never knew that position. He played safety all through high school. So that was growing pains for Terrion last year. And he actually did pretty well in those growing pains. 45 tackles, did have 8 pass breakups, did have 2 picks. Travaris Robinson did a great job growing him in a position where he didn't know much about. So now, a full year of experience, he knows that position. He's got more comfortable playing across from Kool-Aid. It can be a big year for Terrion.
You know what, though? Justin, I also heard this, too, that the 2 transfers are really pushing people, too. The 2 transfers.
They absolutely are. And Coach Saban is actually locking down on them and has spent a lot of time cussing them out. And usually when Coach Saban is constantly harping on somebody, that's a good sign. That means he likes He likes what they're bringing to the table.
Now,
He
guys,
just needs.
the way Saban ended the press conference, bringing up Pete Rose and the
That was
Reds
awesome.
manager. I'm either patting you, I'm either kicking you, or I don't know what to do with you. I mean, man. So right now, Saban is doing a bit more of kicking than patting. So what that means is he got a team. He's just trying to figure out which spades do I play. Saban's got a handful of trump card spades, but he's just trying to figure out, okay, how do I play this hand in the right order?
Right.
See, I don't think our offense is used to an attacking defense. They're used to going up against a reacting defense,
exactly.
Which is the biggest indication of what Kevin Steele is all about. These guys, if you look in their eyes, man, it's like fury is about to be unleashed, and they're allowed to do it. They were handcuffed by Pete Gold, and they weren't allowed to do all that. Now, that is gone. The chains are free.
A perfect point, Justin. Think about it. When they were scrimmaging our defense last year, they were working against a defense that reacted. Wait and see what you're going to do. Now Kevin Steele is coming in dictating what you're going to do. So it's making them work much harder. So in other words, our offense was spoiled in practice. They were spoiled. Now you got a bunch of 5-stars coming in here saying, oh, before you even think about something, we're going to attack you. See, Golden didn't do that. Golden. So now that's why it seems like it's so tough on the offense. So, and I'm just thinking long term. Everybody was like, man, Texas is going to do this. Texas is going to do that. Think about it. Steve Sarkisian likes to throw. We got the DBs that can cover. We're going to get after your ass front seven. So honestly, people may not believe it, but I'm seeing it. They are going to beat up on Texas. I'm telling you. Watch what I tell you.
I'll add this too, Steve. It's what's also making the offense harder is everybody now knows I got to step up now.
Mm-hmm.
We can't just look behind us and expect Bryce Young to bail us out anymore. Bryce Young is no longer there. The last 2 years, guys kind of just sat around and was waiting on nine, bail us out. You don't have that anymore. So now receivers, you got to catch this football. Offensive line, you got to block. Running backs, you got to hit the right holes. Tight ends, you got to do your job. It's like we do not have a superstar, 5-star quarterback to just play hero ball anymore.
Right.
We got to play complementary football. And now this offense is starting to get the gist of we really have to play complementary football now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the main reason why we're not seeing a quarterback emerge or take a leap above anyone else is because the wide receivers and the surrounding pieces just aren't being consistent enough to allow somebody to dart ahead. Now, the quarterbacks are being great leaders. They're bringing the chemistry, the energy, which is all fine and good. But it's time for these other guys to start bringing something to the table.
I think Nick Saban wants the O-line to attack more because, again, as I said previously, they were used to, okay, we're going to do a little something or whatever because we got it easy because we can do what we want to do against the defense because the defense is just sitting back waiting on us to attack. But now, again, we have an attacking defense. We're going to hit you in the mouth. So, honestly, right now, I think the offense is way behind the defense, which is typical. But honestly, there's definitely a situation of iron sharpening iron here. As scrimmages go on, you're gonna see the offense get better and better and better and more comfortable. But right now, it's time for the defense to kick their ass. It's just what it is.
And they are. Kevin Steele is sending the house. He is holding nothing back. Coach Saban highlighted Jaheim Otis and Justin Aboybe as being the leaders, causing absolute terror up front. The question is, when is the offensive line going to have enough of being hit in the mouth and start fighting back?
When they jail. And
that also comes down to, guys, there are some other things that are being looked at here where the offensive line is concerned. Saban's got a question he's asking himself. Do I take J.C. Latham and move him over to left tackle because of all the experience he has? Or do I keep Latham at right tackle, have Booker and Latham on your right side, and on your left side, you deal with either Dalcourt or Pritchett, or do you go with two young guys, Terrence Ferguson and Caden Proctor on that left side? So there are some questions here on the offensive line. You got about 6 to 7 guys that can play on that offensive line, 6 to 7 guys who can potentially start on an offensive line. And Eric Wolf has done his job. It's just getting whoever the 6 to 7 guys are to absolutely gel and absolutely work there. This offensive line can be a nasty group right here.
It can.
It's just getting the best 5 guys right there. And I think the right side, it could be Saban leaning more so too, having Booker and Latham on that right side because of the experience they both have together. Or he may take Latham, put him on the left side. So at least if you have Latham on the left side, at least whoever's playing left guard will have experience from Latham at left tackle. And then whoever's on that right side, if you put Proctor right there, at least Proctor would have Booker as a right guard, giving him some help there. So it's just how Saban wants to dictate and kind of maneuver this offensive line.
You know something? I'm just sitting here thinking, and I can say this to the Bama fans who will watch this broadcast. I wouldn't be too concerned about the offensive line or the offense outside of the receivers, because honestly, it takes an offensive line a lot more time to gel and crystallize than a D line. A D line, that's all they know is attacking, and then they'll throw the stunts and twisting every once in a while and come up with a package as they go. But you know, you got all these different calls, all these different steps, all this stuff with the offensive line, and everybody has to do it in unison. And honestly, you'll see as the scrimmages go on, the offensive line will start becoming more and more aggressive. It's all about learning and growing pains right now. And I think Coach Saban, to me, from listening to you guys and hearing that press conference, I think is more so about effort. Effort.
Effort, especially this time of the season, Steve, where it's 90 plus degrees with 100-degree heat index. You're hot.
Yeah.
You're hot. It's humid. You have mental lapses. You're wondering, I don't have to catch this ball. It's hot out here. But you got to catch that ball despite if you got somebody ready to take your head off.
Right. So you got a lot to think about.
Well, it's all about overcoming adversity. And that's one of the things that Coach Saban has really been harping on. Earlier in the week, he talked about the adversity of Tennessee, overcoming that and not being able to be disciplined enough to overcome that in key situations that were pivotal. And he really just brought it today, emphasizing that too. Yeah, the conditions are absolutely awful, but you know what? They're going to be worse conditions down the road. What are you going to do against Tennessee? What are you going to do against LSU, who they've already crowned as the definitive winner of the West already?
And we're supposed to be 3. Come on, man. That's so disrespectful.
And man, I would say this. Going back to what Steve mentioned, if I'm an Alabama fan, this is not something to jump off the ledge about, because
No.
You want a situation where one day the offense looks good, then one day the defense looks good, then one day the offense. You don't want to be in one-sided. If you're going out every practice and the defense is killing your offense, then it's like, is our offense really that bad?
Well, no, it's not. It's not. And another thing, I would say another silver lining situation that I see is Saban said something about the defense jumping off sides. To me, as an ex-defensive player who didn't play a whole lot, let me say that, but let me say this. When you get a lot of defensive offside calls, number one is lack of discipline. They'll get that fixed. But the big thing is they're ready to get after somebody's ass. They are on go. So the only thing is they have to work on that discipline. So to be honest, that's a good problem to have as far as attitude and effort. But we got to work on that discipline. So, like I said, I'm already sold on the defense, and I'm sold on the offense. I think we got a comment, Justin.
Yeah, Zachary Binks, Dalcourt should be nowhere near the first team. He's going to get someone hurt. He gets dominated on way too many plays. Yes, Steven, you brought up possibly inserting him into the lineup. To be honest with you, I feel like Dalcourt has exhausted all of his opportunities as a starter. He's just not it. He's not.
Is he small?
No, he's a big dude. He's just one of those guys you let get off the bus first, but that's pretty much where it ends.
I'll say this, and this is the reason why Terrence Ferguson has emerged. Terrence Ferguson has got to take that left guard spot. He's had a really good camp. T. Ferg from Georgia, he's got to take that left guard spot.
And he number 63 or something like that.
T. Ferg is he's 65.
Okay, they wrote an article on him saying that he's starting to emerge as the starter.
He is.
So wow, well, that's a good thing, man. The thing is, with this heat and the heat index, Saban is seeing who wants to really play and who in other words, who's down and who's not.
Yeah.
James Knox has an interesting point, and we talked a little bit about this before we jumped on. Hopefully, Bama won't spend a whole season waiting on wide receiver core to do his job well, like last season. Run them running backs as long as they're healthy, and there is going to be drops from wide receivers. My thing is, with Tyler Rees's philosophy, he likes to utilize the tight ends very often, as well as the running backs. If the wide receivers aren't doing the job, we've got very capable tight ends that can step up, and Tyler Rees knows how to utilize them properly. Amari Niblack is a mismatch no matter where you put him on the field. He can be like O.J. Howard 2.0, perhaps even better than that. Danny Lewis kind of reminds me of a tougher Irv Smith. You got that. And then your guy, Robbie Oots, the do everything, blue-collar, hit you in the mouth guy that not a lot of people pay attention to, but he makes his presence known. I feel very confident that we can move the ball and score points with these tight ends and these elite running backs. What are your thoughts, fellas?
Well, first off, I know a lot of people hear me talking about the players individually, but everybody knows by now Robbie Oots is my favorite player because he does all the dirty work. He never takes a play off, and every time I've seen this guy, man, he's going hard. And I think that's how he lives life. I think that's how he was born, and that's why I'm just such a big fan of this guy. If everybody had that go get him attitude like him, it would be amazing. Now back to the tight ends. We can use our tight ends, but unfortunately, that won't open up the run game. It won't. We gotta stretch the field. And I was watching something. I was watching. I forgot his name. Oh my God! But he was telling us about a fan snuck the camera in there, and we watched and showed the scrimmage. Did you hear about that, Stephen? And he was talking about who was in the lead or whatever, and this and that, which I won't harp on. But they showed Milroe throw this guy a complete dime, and he dropped it in the end zone. And then Ty Simpson threw somebody a complete dime, dropped it. So the thing is, we have the receivers with the speed to stretch the field, but they have to catch the ball. And honestly, I was telling Justin before we got started, some of this stuff you can't blame on the quarterbacks, and that's why I'm feeling like the quarterbacks are getting an unfair. It's kind of unfair to blame them when you look at the numbers, because let's say, how could you blame Ty Simpson or Jalen Milroe if they have a 5 for 10 day and five of those 10s are drops by the receivers? They hit the receiver in stride, they hit him in the hands, but they drop it. Who do you blame? So the numbers are kind of unfair. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely does.
Makes perfect sense.
And then another time where I saw Ty Simpson throw a perfect dime to somebody across the middle. It went off his hands. Another guy caught it, and it's the interception. So do you blame Ty Simpson? Same thing with Milroe. You can't blame them. So people are like, man, the quarterbacks, which I don't want to get into the quarterbacks, but it's kind of just a disadvantage for them.
It is. And going back to T. Ferg is 69. My apologies, 69, not 65. 65 is J.C. Latham. Ferguson is 69. But just going back to this whole conversation, that's why I was saying complimentary football.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to the national championships in the Nick Saban era, it was complimentary football. Everybody did what they were supposed to do, and they did it well. For 2 years with Bryce Young, Bryce was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable, but it wasn't complimentary football. Guys weren't catching the ball until they finally realized, well, oh snap, Bryce is going to turn pro. He ain't going to be here 2023. Let me catch this football, but it's too late then. So I look at now, you've got to catch the football here. Frank Nicey is sitting here writing in about Isaiah Bond dropped the dime from Milroe.
Yep.
And Corey Brooks dropped the dime from Ty Simpson that was unfortunately picked off there. So
exactly.
You
Not
got
my point exactly.
These receivers, it doesn't matter what the conditions are. If the ball is anywhere near you, you have got to catch that ball.
Yeah. You know something? I'm kind of guessing, and I'm willing to bet you guys money right now where Saban and the receivers coach have the receivers right now. Everybody else is going home. Those receivers are on that jug machine right now. I guarantee they. If they're not, they better be. You know the machine where it spits the football out and you got to catch it. They need to be on that. They need to be on that machine until tomorrow morning.
And to be honest, that's what guys like Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, those guys
100 balls.
We were on those jug machines after every practice.
100 balls.
We was on that ball every practice, even after practice, getting more work in. We don't want to have any ball touch the ground. That's that mentality those guys had. And these
hold up,
guys,
somebody was saying some comments. I'm sorry. What was the comment? The previous comment, Justin. Somebody said something about Bond.
Let's see. People want to say Bond because of one catch. Since when did Bama fans get happy with low standards? That's what we're not happy. That's the biggest thing right now. That's why we're so infuriated. Yes, it's only day one in terms of scrimmaging, but
I don't understand.
We should be far past this.
I don't understand what he meant by that. I'm sorry.
What was that the comment?
I mean the statement. Just whatever the fan said. I don't understand what he meant by that. That kind of lost me.
Isaiah Bond had a big catch, but then again, it's totally negated by several drops.
Oh,
So he's getting high praise for doing one thing, but
the
other stuff, inconsistency. That's the biggest thing. And
let me get my charger, guys.
Are we sure these receivers don't have some sort of allergy issue when the ball hits them in the hands?
I would hope not. I would hope not because, like I said, you have a whole new starting quarterback. And how you build confidence in that guy, and for that guy to trust you, you got to catch the ball and he puts that ball on you. It's like I mentioned, the last 2 years, you were spoiled with having Bryce Young that can do anything and that can make anything happen. You could sit back. You really didn't have to run your routes full speed. Bryce would just find you. You don't have that here. You don't have Bryce Young here. You have some good quarterbacks, but they're not what Bryce was. So now when these guys put the ball on you, you have got to catch the football. Sheila Kelly writes in, Bama has always had good receivers. If their receivers can get it together, it will not matter who plays quarterback. The passes are going to be perfect. Right. I mean, the passes aren't going to be perfect, true, but it's like Sheila was mentioning, if these receivers can knock it in, just catch the ball. That's not who's playing quarterback. Just catch the ball. And I think that's the biggest thing that Saban was harping on today. You play wide receiver. Your job is to catch the football. If that is your position and that ball is in the air, that's my ball. I don't care if it's snowing outside. That's my football.
Now, what happens is if of course, people are going to scout us. If we keep dropping balls, that means that everybody's going to stack the box every time they play us. Every time, because now we don't have a deep threat. We don't have any of that. So I don't. And then another thing, a positions group is just like a D coordinator or an offense coordinator. You're only as good as your coordinators. Maybe somebody need to step up and become the positions leader. I don't know, but and lead by example, because you know how I feel about certain players, and I'm trying to get out of the habit of just kind of going in on certain players or whatever. But maybe there might need to be a change at the top. I don't know.
Yeah, Frank makes a good point. The problem at wide receiver is the leaders in the wide receiver room are the guys dropping balls. Absolutely.
So you understand.
Right. So you got a veteran and Ja'Cory Brooks, which I felt like at this point in his career is where he needs to ascend to a next level. So if you look at him as far as his height, his intangibles, his physicality, he's got all the makings of a first-round guy. But the problem is, yeah, he'll win the 50-50 battle, but the easy catches he'll drop. I'm kind of confused as to where his development is at this point, and thought a lot of things would have been cleaned up by now.
So do you think, from what I understand, maybe y'all need to move the guy that transferred because I'm not hearing him dropping balls. I'm hearing he's making plays.
This is why I've said this, and people have looked at me as if to say, well, Steven, this guy's a great recruiter. He's a great recruiter. I understand that, but this is the reason why I've said this is a make or break year for Holman Wiggins as the wide receivers coach, because we have yet to see him take a guy from ground zero and develop him into, an All-American first-round pick, what have you, 1,000-yard receiver, what have you. Yes, people will say, but Steven, he had Judy and Ruggs and Smith and all those guys. Well, those guys were there before we got there. So
he had it easy with Judy, Ruggs, and all them. And now you're really going to have to coach now, because sometimes you got to understand. Sometimes the players make the coach look like he's all world. And I'm seeing a comment that you see this Owen Davis. Yeah, you can read that comment, Justin. If you like.
Could it be the defense is really good and applying a lot of pressure, throwing in time off? Yeah, we've already discussed it, but yes, that is one of the biggest problems I think the offense is having right now, because we have a Kevin Steele defense and not a Pete Golding defense. You have attack versus react, physicality versus being standoffish, hugging. That's one of the biggest things that we were just infuriated about this past year. So they're throwing everything off because they don't know how. They're not used to having to account for these things they hadn't seen before.
And guys are out there literally getting blasted. And I think I'm just saying, I have to blame this on Jake Pope, because I'm gonna tell you something. And what I mean by that is, I think receivers are now, since the defense is so aggressive, and I want you to understand, guys, since the defense is so aggressive, I think that the receivers are concentrating on the ball, but they're also concentrating on who's coming up to hit them. And that's why they're dropping balls. That's what I believe. And it started with Jake Pope when he laid the lumber on our guy, Jermaine Burton. That's what I think it is, because now they're looking like, man, it is. And honestly, they just have to focus on one thing, and that's catching the ball. But I think they're focused on two things. Okay, I'm going to catch this ball, but I hope I don't get hit. And then as soon as the ball get to them, they're looking to try to absorb the hit, you know what I'm saying, to see where it's coming from. And they're taking their eyes off the ball. That's what I believe.
Let's look at some positives, guys. I know there had been some good takeaways today. I heard Dylan Lonergan looked really good. Of course, we kind of expect that from him based on the poise that he showed in the A-Day game. Yeah, does that mean anything? Not necessarily, but the upside is definitely there. I like his moxie. I like his confidence. And down the road, he possibly could be an answer for us, but good things from him. Jam Miller had an 85-yard touchdown today. He's been battling injury here as of late and slowly coming out of that, but that's a guy who's going to make a big difference for the offense if we can find ways to get him involved.
Hey, Justin, you know why I'm shaking my head at you? You know why?
Go ahead.
Because, Justin, I said this just last night. From what I understand, from what I've seen and heard so far, that, Milroe is ahead of everybody. But I'm going to tell you something, and you mark my word, Lonergan is going to be that second-string quarterback if Ty Simpson or if Ty Simpson is in the lead, if Milroe's second, Lonergan is going to be that second-string quarterback. That dude has everything good about him. I said it last night, and I'm sticking to it. I think they need to start looking at him if the other two don't aren't moving fast enough now. But from what I'm hearing, and I don't want to get into a fan debate, that Milroe is kind of pulling away, and Ty is kind of being inconsistent. You know what I'm saying? And I think making bad reads or whatever. But again, I can't say he has a wonderful ball, but people don't realize this. Ty is going through the same thing Milroe went through last year. You know what that is? Quarterback growing pains. It's going to happen. So that doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback.
No.
He's just going through, and unfortunately, when Milroe got in last year in that A&M game, it was his time to go through QB growing pains. Unfortunately, the whole Bama fan base saw it. This is why everybody is like, oh, he's not going to be that guy. But from what I understand, he's improved. But I'm telling you, man, if Ty and Milroe don't start really moving like they're supposed to, I think they should insert Lonergan. I really do, because he looks good.
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's see. Steven, we had a question from Lucian. Who played star today?
Oh, who played? I mean, they had a lot of people. They had a lot of people. I know Terrion Arnold played some the other day. Malachi Moore played some the other day. Earl Little was definitely there for the second team. So it was Earl Little, Terrion, Malachi, those three. Three.
I got offended because I thought he was referring to the show. I was like, what do you mean who plays star? I'm the star, but he's talking about football.
Yeah, we definitely got to work on clarification for sure.
Right, can't clarify that, sir. I got really offended then, but yeah.
I can understand that.
In the nickel defense.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Hey, and speaking of transfers, Tresman Marshall had himself a day, had a pick six, picked up a Tyler Buchner pass. I'm telling you guys, Tresman Marshall, if he is healthy, he's going to be that dude at linebacker that we've been missing.
You got.
Where's he from?
Transfer from Georgia.
Oh, okay.
You've got 6 guys that can play inside linebacker. You got 6 guys. And I know right now you've got the main 2 are Lawson and Jihad Campbell, but Tresman Marshall coming over from Georgia, that toughness he brings from Kirby Smart, like the guy can play. When he's healthy, the guy can flat out play. So it's going to be something there at that inside linebacker position, especially when you get all of that fouled out there. I have 2 guys right now in the lead at this point with being Lawson and Campbell, but a healthy Tresman Marshall plays a role in there.
Okay, so question. Now, what about our guy? The guy that looks like he's
Kendrick Blackshire.
I hadn't heard anything from him.
I mean, he's there. It's like with Kendrick. With Kendrick, it's always been can he knock the playbook with Kendrick? It's always kind of been that playbook with Kendrick. It's like he gets some of it, and then there's some of it he's still lacking.
Right.
I mean, you got to get in that playbook, because you out there looking like you a stunt double from the guy in the Green Mile. Come on, dude, you got to get on the field.
Take my handballs.
I'm just saying.
Oh, and Justin, newsflash. I'm sorry, Justin. One more thing, newsflash. Yeah. My opinion, y'all can dispute it. I think Lonergan is now the 3rd string quarterback. I'm just saying. I'm a Lonergan fan because I like the way he looks. I would put him there.
I mean, I'll say this, and I've been told this. Buchner is here. Buchner is here as an insurance policy.
I believe that.
Alabama as an insurance policy. I mean, the kid's got talent, but I look at going back to the A-Day game, I saw something about Lonergan. From the A-Day game, I saw even the open practice. You know, I was told, hey, this kid, strong arm, really nice arm. He doesn't take a whole lot of chances, and he'll grow in confidence in that area, but can really, really process it.
He came from one of the highest levels of football at 7A Georgia, so that's like SEC light. He also played pitcher in high school. A lot of the dual sports guys playing pitcher, you have to know everything, the intricacies of where to place the ball, knowing your opponent, how they're going to react. You already have this psychological roadmap being formulated in his head before he even takes the snap. I like that his intelligence, and like I said, his poise and moxie is what really impresses me at such an early age. Yes, it was an A-Day. He had his black jersey on, and life is a whole lot easier when you're doing that. But just looking at the intangibles, I really like what I see so far.
Do you mean Buchner, or are you talking about
Dylan Lonergan?
Oh, because I thought I'm like Buchner. I'm like, wait a minute, because
No.
the next Aflac commercial Nick Saban does, Buckner's definitely gonna be in it because he's just an insurance policy. I'm telling you.
I get this comment from Owen Davis. I'm sticking to my guns, folks. Milroe is going to surprise folks. He reminds me of Hurts. I'm confident in him to win. Yeah, he reminds me of Hurts, but I think his journey, as we said often, gentlemen, it resembles the same as Blake Sims. Everybody wrote him off, especially after that A-Day game. Said he's no good, throwing back at safety, wide receiver, running back. He ain't no quarterback. And then all of a sudden, fourth, fifth game in, Florida game happens, and he passes for a school record and had several touchdowns. And then he leaves his time at Alabama possessing several passing records. Of course, Bryce Young ultimately broke those records, but he did things that no one expected, and we should all remember. Same situation can apply here to Jalen Milroe. I think he's a much better Blake Sims.
I was about to say this. I think he's a much better Jalen Hurts and Blake Sims. I mean, The thing is, I really believe that once it all comes together for this guy, he's going to be unstoppable. And people are not looking at the upside. Again, like I said, they saw his growing pains on nationwide TV. So us as Bama fans, we're so spoiled. We judge him off of that. But from what I'm hearing, he's really doing well, and he's making better decisions and throws than both the other quarterbacks. Now, trust me, when Ty Sims released that ball, that summer gun is beautiful. But however, he's going through quarterback growing pains, so he's throwing it in the wrong places, and that's his only problem, I believe.
Now, a good thing that I've been hearing also, guys, the specialists. The special teams has been looking very strong, and in particular, the punter, James Burnip. What a transformation he's been on. Now, James Burnip has never been just terrible, but, Bama Nation, they like to compare every punter to J.K. Scott, booting the ball 70 yards in the air. But James Burnip's not doing that. But what he is doing, he's hitting more 50-yard punts. His good punts are really, really, really good. And he has cut down a lot of the mistakes that had him do some bad punts, some shanks, a couple of years back. So James Burnip has come a long way, and my goodness, Will Reichert's hitting everything. I mean, Will Reichert's nailing everything. So the specialists are doing a phenomenal job, and we've even gotten depth guys. Punt return. Keep your eyes on this kid, Cole Adams.
Adams,
punt returner. The guy got some moves on him.
Wow. Now but in this our kicker's money year. This is money year, isn't it?
This is Will Reichert's money year. Now he could have went pro last year, but his family and his fiance, now wife, convinced him to come back another year.
Yeah, that'll do it.
But Reichert and Burnham doing well, and then you got depth and punt returner. Of course, Kool-Aid's your main guy back there. Isaiah Bonds number 2, but Cole Adams, this kid, quickness. I mean quickness for that kid, can move. Of course, we're not expecting these guys to bust a return for a touchdown every time they touch the ball, but at least put your offense in strong field position. And we got some punt returners that can put this offense in good field position.
I wouldn't. I mean, I'm not a coach. I don't profess to be one. But if it was me, I wouldn't put Kool-Aid back there ever again. He's just too valuable on defense.
And Steve, you make a point there.
That's a good point.
I've said this too. Your punt returners and kick returners, those are your guys that are trying to make a name for themselves.
Right.
You put young guys back there that are not quite proven. You put those guys back there. You're proven guys.
Go ahead, Justin.
Well, I was going to say, that's where you look at putting a Jan Miller back there or a Henderson. I mean, guys that are a firecracker as soon as
Emmanuel Henderson. Emmanuel Henson, a guy like that back there, I feel like we should learn from having guys like Eddie Jackson, who was much too valuable, but he was so good as a punt returner. Coach Saban kept him back there, and Eddie Jackson got hurt. We learned this lesson from guys like Kenyon Drake.
I was about to say that. Hey, Saban has starters back there. He has starters.
And Drake gets hurt. Like, you can't put your. I remember one time, it was the Iron Bowl, and didn't we have Jamison Williams as the gunner on a punt return?
Yeah, but he got put out of the game because of a penalty.
Yeah. Hey, man.
So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now, guys. As we start to wind down, what's your immediate takeaways? On the jump, you kind of want to get a little frazzled about what we're hearing. But then again, you got to remember, too, it's just the first scrimmage. It's day 4. We've only had pads on for a little bit. There are going to be hiccups. There is going to be some rust. Like you said, Steve and Steven, defense is going to be ahead of the offense. But things will start to balance out as we move closer to Middle Tennessee State.
I think one takeaway I'm going to say is I think we're on the right schedule. I think Coach Saban is picking out who's going to be ready for Middle Tennessee State, and I think the battles are going to continue. But I'm not concerned because this happens every year in football. The defense is always ahead of the offense, especially the interior defense. But I will say this: only concern I have right now is the receivers have to catch the ball. We are going to be a run first team, which sets up the play action and everything else. You got to catch the ball. That's just what it is.
I think, guys, my one takeaway from all of this is it's still early. This was the first scrimmage. It's still early. Guys are feeling things out. Saban is feeling things out. Quite naturally, he is going to come into the press conference ticked off. He's hot. He's 71 years old. He's hot. He's been running around all day. He's hot. And so, of course, he's going to come at the media going, well, everybody messed up. What you think?
Yeah.
But there were some good moments out there from the first scrimmage and some things to pick up on. A lot of this, guys, were the mental errors. That's the reason why Kevin Steele has these guys doing up downs after every single mental error. So those up downs, those different discipline things that Steele has these players doing, it's going to take root in their minds. Hey, if I get a penalty, I'm doing some stupid junk that I don't want to do. I can't afford the penalty. So it's all being ingrained and wired here in their heads, moving forward. So it's early. It's early. By the second scrimmage, third scrimmage, a lot of this stuff will be cleaned up, but it's early.
Real quick, I'm getting updates as we're on air. We spoke about Will Reichert earlier. He made kicks 54 and 55 yards out.
I'm telling you, that boy rocket.
Hey, the best toe in the country, without a doubt.
If he does not win the Lou Groza Award, I'm going on strike. Period.
Wow.
From the audience, how many folks think we'll see Bama play all 3 quarterbacks against Middle Tennessee State? Don't ask Coach Saban that.
I personally, I think that we will possibly do that, and I will go on record and say this: if we do play 3 quarterbacks, I think Larnigan's going to be one of them.
All right, so
man, you stole that. It's my thunder, brother. You're absolutely right.
So guys, before I hop off here, Steve, if it is Larnigan, you got to do this. Like, you got to have like a jersey in thirds where it's a 4, a 15, and a 12.
Hey, but listen, I already went on websites. I'm ordering my Milroe jersey, but then again, I don't know who's going to be number 2, but I got a Ty Simpson, or just in case one of the other starts. And then I have, of course, I'm ordering me a Robbie Oops jersey. I got to get that one custom because, they got, But anyway, but man, if that happens, I'm gonna have to go on and get that Lonergan jersey because I'm telling you, man, I'm liking him.
Hey,
All
I
right,
might.
hey guys, I'm hopping off here.
All right. Well,
Gotta go
let's
myself.
ahead. Let's use that opportunity to close on out. I'll remind everybody in the audience, hit that like button and subscribe button. September 1st at 5 p.m. at the Bryant Museum, the Bama Standard will be live. Get there, pack the place out, and then we'll be at the museum the next day, meeting and greeting, signing autographs, and we might be interviewing some folks. You'll get an opportunity to be on with us, and we'll definitely be at the game. But as for me and Steve Brown, we are out. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll Tide, guys.